Yo, I'm Amar Chaggar.
And I'm Amit Dhut. Please stay tuned to the Voice It Out podcast.
And go and watch Never Had a Chance.
Never Had a Chance is a film that is made by Jazz Palla, set in West London, looking at the youth of the Punjabi community in the area and the problems that they face day to day. It stars Amar Chaggar in the main role as Ravi. Ravi's character is dragged back into drug dealing because of his friend's addiction to gambling, and also has Amit Dhut, who plays Gudge in the film, a local drug dealer who tries to get Ravi and Jay, the main characters, back into selling drugs. Both actors joined the podcast as guests in this episode, and I hope you enjoy it. Hi, I'm Amrita, and I'm back with yet another great episode of the Voice Out podcast. Now, I say great because I think all of our episodes are great, but today I have two actors who are starring in a film that has premiered at the UK Asian Film Festival recently. It's Amar Chaggar and Amit Dhut. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Great. Thanks for having us on board.
Yeah, good,
Thanks for joining me. Now, this film is called Never Had a Chance, and it's by Jazz Palla, and it's basically a film that is kind of rooted in the Punjabi community in West London, which I think really spoke to me, because even though I don't live in West London and I'm not in the Punjabi community, it still spoke to me. And I think that is the beauty of filmmaking, that it can reach out to people even when you're not actually specifically part of the community. Mm-hmm. So Amar, I have to ask you, you play Ravi, who is the protagonist. How did you prepare for the character?
Well, firstly, when I found out I got the offer for the role, I spoke with Jazz and we had a few kind of Zoom calls and just phone calls about, the direction of where he kind of saw Ravi's journey going. Mm-hmm. And then it was down to my own preparation to kind of get myself ready for when we get to set, and making sure that the characters kind of what's the right word I'm looking for? The characters kind of nuances were there and bubbling just before we started. I mean, it's one of those where you never feel like you've done enough for it. You always leave thinking that there's a lot more that maybe could have been done, and it's always towards the end of the shoot. But it was a lot of it came down to being quite collaborative with Jazz and his vision of where he wanted the story and the arc to go.
I think the read-through helped quite a lot as well. We had a read-through before the actual shoot begun. Okay. Where obviously we never met each other, all the cast, and we just sat down to have a table read. And that's when you could start to gel things together. You could see what's going to form with what. So that helped a lot
100%.
to show each other where this film is going to go, where the characters are, and to give us the smallest foundation to start with. But that foundation helped massively with gelling everything together.
So obviously you play a negatively shaded character, Amit, but the thing is, I feel like
there's a few positives to him.
Maybe a few.
There's a few.
Maybe. I have to agree with him. So I wanted to ask both of you, actually, now that you've mentioned the kind of workshop that you had before the shoot, I was going to ask a question of how you kind of made it feel like it was a community, because I feel that was such a big part of the film, the community feel. But if you obviously had only just met each other because of this project, how did you kind of authentically transfer that on screen?
I think even though we never met each other, we're still Brit-Asian. So
of course.
This film, like you mentioned, it being part of a community, it was our chance to display our community on screen, which we hardly ever get to do. So it was just it just naturally clicked, everything fitting together. We wrote this film authentically. It was shot in Hounslow, in Southall. The extras were real people from Hounslow, real people from Southall. So it was already a community project before it even started.
Yeah, I can understand that. Also, there are some really intense scenes, which I kind of think kind of also not play on the pressures that the kind of the youth of the film has, but also reflects the real life of exactly what people go through. And sometimes we don't realize. I think for me, I kind of came to the film and I realized I actually didn't know that this actually happened for real. I thought it was just something depicted in this particular film. Have you met kind of similar characters, or did you have to do any research for your roles at all?
I think a lot of us from, whether it's West London, East London, Birmingham, Manchester, a lot of us growing up, we always hear stories or we have seen things, pretty much in front of us that are very similar to the topics that have happened in the film. There's a lot of themes in there that are very prevalent in the South Asian community as well that aren't really spoken about. So you've got all this kind of history of all these circumstances that are happening and they've never been brought to light. So you can kind of bring that as like a sense of motivation to kind of, right, let's tell all these stories and give it, you know, some justice.
Yeah.
I mean, the themes and the scenes you're talking about, they're generally swept under the carpet by our community.
Absolutely.
Yeah, all the time.
Because of, let's say we're talking about children, for example, and the parents finding out that their youth were involved in these kind of themes, they wouldn't tell anyone. They'd sweep it under the carpet. If someone had to go away to HMP for 6 months, they'd gone to India for 6 months instead. You know,
so it's a shame, isn't it, within the community?
So
exactly
that's
even certain the other themes that are in there, it's just not brought to light because we as a community tend to only want to be seen in certain ways.
Yeah.
So that's why this was a relish for us all to say, you know what, let's get stuck in and let's make something modern and something realistic for our community, so we can be seen in light that we aren't normally, you know, and we can bring some truth to the screens as well,
and also hopefully shed some awareness.
Yeah,
you know, hopefully it can open the eyes of some parents or even some youngsters or even elderly, where they're like, you know what, damn, maybe my relationships with certain family members or friends or other people could have been different if maybe I had been a little bit more supportive, or, you know, I was a bit more considerate, and maybe I could offer a hand and help, and, you know, maybe it'll bridge a gap together, you know.
Yeah, it's really interesting that you yourselves have brought up this topic, that a lot of stuff that we do in the British Asian community is swept under the carpet, because actually the main focus of my podcast is mental health, and I feel like we don't speak about that enough in the British Asian community. And in this film, I felt like every single character had some aspect of mental health, kind of a mental health journey. But I do feel like the way that it's portrayed on screen, like you say, it kind of makes you notice the stuff that you do sweep under the carpet, even in this generation. So when I was watching this film, I felt like it had a really strong mental health message for quite a few of the main characters, not just one. So when you both speak about sweeping things under the carpet as British Asians, I think it's something like, because you brought it up, it is something we're all used to in the British Asian community. But because this film seeks to bring certain topics to the forefront, did you find it quite exciting, as you said, to bring those things to the forefront? And have you had any kind of feedback from that, from people who've been through kind of similar life experiences?
Oh, yeah. I mean, to answer your question from the first point, even though the community kind of sweep things under the carpet quite a lot, I was very fortunate that in my household we were taught to be able to express ourselves and talk and have conversations. So when it came to them working on this project and being able to explore these ideas, it was a bit more like freeing and fulfilling to be able to do so. There have been certain, you know, people that have come up to us and after the screenings, they've kind of pulled me to the side and they're like, you know, this part of the film really resonated with me because I've experienced something similar, or, you know, my best friend has gone through pretty much that exact thing. And it's like, whoa, man, we're actually creating something that's resonating with people and who've actually gone through some really hard things in life. It's sad, but it's also an element of like, okay, cool, I hope we've done it justice in order to be able to tell these stories and for people to be able to be seen. It's
like giving a voice to the people who thought they didn't have a voice because they didn't know who to turn to or talk to about certain things. I mean, look, let's be real. In the Asian community, we're quite proud and quite traditional, you know. Traditions that we still carry from like the 50s and 60s in the same households, right? And there are some households that aren't too traditional, right? I grew up in a household that wasn't too traditional, so I've had different experiences to a lot of my friends who are. So therefore, my life experiences have been different to someone else's, but it doesn't mean that they're not still going through the same things, but they're not able to voice it.
Yeah.
So me and all of us going onto this film and portraying characters that we know exist, that we know are living these themed lives, we were able to put them on screen and hopefully, like Amar said, give it justice for people who in households going through these things, seeing these things, but not being able to talk about it, even to their friends.
Yeah.
You know, growing up, if you're in a different type of households to your friends, you feel left out, no? You feel like you can't talk to them about this because they're going to laugh at you or they're going to make jokes or this and that. So this film is quite non-traditional if you think about it. And yeah, sorry to keep repeating, but I hope we just did it justice for the people that didn't feel they could talk about these things or relate to, you know.
I think personally, when I've spoken to previous guests or Asian males in the community, I think everyone has obviously their own mental health aspect, journey, whatever it might be. But I think when you are, what I've heard when I've spoken to Asian males, they have had different kind of, I don't feel like I can talk, or I don't think there's a safe space, or just generally, even if they just want to share something, I've kind of felt a lot of people kind of rather keep it to themselves. And it's almost like, I'll deal with it, I'll handle it myself. I don't want to burden someone, or even I don't want to embarrass myself in a way. I don't know if embarrass is the right word there.
No, it's true.
But in this story, I feel like even though the main character especially is the one who is quite down on life, but also is the one who tries to help other people as much as he can. And I feel like even in real life, when you try and help someone, it's fantastic, you get the reward from it. But at the same time, you can take on the trauma of it as well. So did you feel that when you were playing Ravi, did you feel the kind of secondhand trauma aspect of it, I guess?
It was more a sense of frustration. You know, it's like the help is here. Take it. But a lot of the time in life, a lot of people aren't ready to take the help unless they're willing to want to take that help. And it's very similar to the characters between Jay and Ravi. You know, Jay was in his own little bubble of wanting his own world. Ravi wanted his, didn't want to get drawn in, but then trying to help Jay and then trying to come out of it. And then there's that conflict of them two both wanting a sense of success in their own right, you know. So yeah.
Yeah, I get that. And your character, obviously, like I said, it's negatively shaded, but it's with a little bit of positive, as you said.
Definitely. I mean,
between Ravi and
between the character of Ravi and Gudge, I mean, they started out as friends.
Yeah.
I see it as the way I prepped it, that Gudge saw Ravi as like a younger cousin, someone like that, someone to kind of call that way. But as far as the mental health issue is concerned, I mean, look, as males, it's not really great to say I've got a mental health issue or I'm feeling like this, because you're going to looked at as weak, or you're going to be looked at as, you know, you're not capable of being a man. So there are certain circles, obviously in alpha circles or circles that are quite tough or manly, if you want to go down that route. That's the last thing you can say, because you lose all your points.
Yeah.
You're going to be the butt of all the jokes. There's going to be memes about you. There's going to be WhatsApp chats about you and behind your back. And that is everyone's fear, that suddenly I'm not a man in front of my men friends no more. You know, I'm going to look soft. I've lost all my points, so no one's going to talk about these things. But you have to understand something. The brain is fragile and life is hard. So how many people have gone through life with physical problems? You've cut your leg, you've fallen over, you've got a cough, you've got this, but nothing's happened to your head?
Exactly, it's all the stuff
Really?
you can see,
Really?
Yeah.
You've gone through how many physical ailments throughout your life, and you're telling me you have zero mental ailments by this time? I think everyone is. At some point. Everyone's experienced some kind of anxiety, some kind of depression, some kind of negative thoughts, whether it's only been a small part of their life or a massive part. It's been an experience for every human being on this planet, unless you're a robot. I'm sorry.
I agree.
I'm sorry. Unless you're a complete psychopath or you're a robot, you've experienced some form of mental health issues.
Exactly.
You just got to look at the news. Everyone's going through something right now.
Yeah.
So hopefully this film, like I said, we're exploring themes that people don't really talk about. We're not dancing, we're not singing, we're not talking about weddings, we're not doing change the light bulbs. You know?
No, you're not.
It's not that kind of film. So we're just glad to just open the box a little bit. Yeah. You know? Hopefully, if people in the older generation, people in their 60s or 50s, can watch this film and maybe relate to their youth a bit more, maybe understand things a bit more. And vice versa, maybe someone's watching this film with their parents can be like, do you kind of recognize me now? Because you understand why that happened in my life, if you can see it on screen there. Yeah. Hopefully.
I think that this is what I mean by filmmaking and any kind of, show or whatever it might be, is so powerful in depicting stories that sometimes we see right in front of us, but kind of we don't see. We kind of are blind to them. I wanted to just ask you, another question about mental health, only because recently we put up something about how in Asian households, we've noticed that sometimes for men, especially, silence is their survival mechanism. And as you say, you don't want to be the butt of the jokes and stuff like that. So a lot of men do choose to stay silent. We had a comment from someone who said, but we've never been told that we can express. We've not been told that we can talk about this. I found that kind of a little bit problematic, because even women are not told that we can speak to other women, or we can speak in our friend circles, or whatever it might be. But as a man, do you feel, as an Asian man in today's generation, do both of you feel like you have safe spaces? And if you do still feel like you are the one that's joked about, if you speak about your mental health, do you have people that you can speak to? Or is it still quite problematic that we still kind of use silence as a survival mechanism?
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I think there's a few things that you'd have to factor in with this kind of situation. I mean, me personally, I'm very, very fortunate that when I've had my moments of, you know, mental health struggles, that I have a supportive network around me, whether it be my family or my friends. It was never that, it's never that easy anyway, but it was never as easy as it is now back then. And I think it's like when you pull off the plaster, right? It stings a little bit, but then it slowly just heals. And when you do it time and time again, you kind of expect the pain to just rip, but then you know it's going to heal. So it's sad that people feel like they don't have that space or a person to talk to. But there is always, I'm sure someone will always have someone at the end of the phone. You know, it's just a message. You just never know who it could reach to.
Me answering that, I think as men, silence is more sometimes an option, because again, solitude is peace, right? No one can mock you if you're solitude. No one can really, you know, judge you or whatnot. So people go into silence. Some people hit the gym like crazy. Some people turn to drinking at home, anything to mask whatever it is, you know. But I think it depends on environment. If you, again, I don't want to keep mentioning this, but if you're raised in an environment early where you know you don't feel safe to express yourself or say this, or there's been times when you've wanted to express yourself and you've been told not to, of course you're going to be shut until you find a safe space to do so. But again, it's just, sometimes you have to trust the timing of your life. If you're going through mental health issues, you know, you've got to be strong enough to have some kind of impetus to go out and seek help yourself. Even if you find it hard, you have to do that at some point. And unfortunately, in our community, there's not too many places to go to, but it's changing. Yeah. You know, I think with the younger generation and the way things are now, it's more of a less touchy subject, and people can go and talk to people. People can go online, make rant videos, let their steam off, put posts out, post memes, do whatever they want. Yeah. There's all kinds of outlets now. You don't have to be so stuck in your own room or stuck in your own little black cloud. There's little ways to express yourself now. Yeah, really.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. I also wanted to ask, when you have had scenes in the film which are intense, do you feel like you have to prep for them? Like, even if you are kind of shooting with other people, are you the kind of people who kind of go in the corner to prep? Or are you like totally prepared for a scene, like, because you know it's coming?
You go first, man.
No, I think an actor prepares, even if you know the script, even if you know the director, even if you're from the area that the film was made in, you must give the script some respect. Someone sat there for however long it took to write this, to really make this dream come forward, and you know, you've got to give it the time it deserves. So me personally, I'd read a script 3 to 4 times, make sure I've got it locked in, I know what's going on, I've got the little map in my head of what's going on, and then just read my character over and over again. And that's how, obviously, for me, I didn't have to prep too much for this character, but I still worked on the scenes with what I could, but I didn't have to do too much character preparation as per se. But it's definitely right and respectful to prepare for every scene. It's just what you do.
Yeah, and just to come off the back of that, you know, it's very important to do your prep. You've got to give the work its justice, right? But you can't. The way I work is I can't go into something expecting an outcome, because I don't know what the other actor's about to throw in my way, and and I'll go off what you're giving, kind of thing. So we kind of have an idea of where the writing's taken us, but then it's our duty to try and make certain choices in that moment to then fulfill whatever comes next.
Which I think we did quite well.
I hope so.
I think you did. As a viewer of the film, I think you did. I wanted to ask, were there any similarities to you as people, to your characters?
In my own life, I think like many other people, especially in this industry, where you kind of feel a bit angry at the world, or just that things aren't moving in the direction that you may want them to, or, you know, you feel a bit frustrated at certain things. So I guess that's a similar trait that maybe I have with Ravi.
I like that. Yeah. That's quite real of you to share. Thank you very much. Now, you have a martial arts background, which we were talking about earlier. Do you feel like physically you have to change your body language, and how did you have to change your body language to play Ravi?
It wasn't so much that I had to change my body language. I think what helped from the martial arts background is, and you'll know this as well from being in it too, but it gives you a sense of discipline, dedication, not necessarily motivation, but it kind of keeps you locked in and keeps you focused on what your work is, and it doesn't kind of, it helps you to stay on the right track. You know, it helped me to not go down the wrong path when I was growing up, and it kept me away from certain bad things, and you know, it kept me on that straight and narrow. So that's where that background managed to help me when it comes to the work and the industry in general.
That's really interesting. Both of you have worked actually in TV. You've worked on stage as well. How do you find the difference of pace and how you kind of get into filming an indie film in comparison to those two?
Well, I think the good thing about indie film is you have a little bit more control of creativity. Yeah. You can talk to the director and you can say, listen, can we try this? Can we try that?
It's very collaborative. Because
there's not a massive studio that's written the script and it's locked in and it's got to be word for word and it's got to be done to the T of the script, you know? So it was a pleasure working with Jazz because we could collaborate on ideas for scenes, and it's quite relaxed pace. I mean, it's quite fast paced because obviously there's a budget and, you know, you can't, certain sets are booked for certain days, and if you go over that, you've got to pay for the sets again. So it's quite frantic at times, but it's very rewarding because it's more personal. It's much more of a personal experience to make an independent film and to even work on an independent film. When you're working on like a big budget film, like I said, you're constricted to a certain way. They want this, they want that. You can't really do anything else. You're just like a puppet, which is great, but you're just their vessel for what the character needs. You get your paycheck and you're out, and that's that. So they're both fulfilling. But independent film is definitely more personal, and you can get your teeth into it a bit more as an actor, you know. Stage, that's a completely different ball game. That is like live raw acting. You've prepared for something for 3 or 4 weeks. Yeah, all the lines are in your head. There's no director telling you stop, start, let's do that again. If you mess your lines up, you've got to remember your cues and go. You've got to remember your marks and where to stand. It's 1 hour or 1.5 hours of pure straight acting, and it's live in front of an audience. And the adrenaline you get from that is completely different to TV and film. Completely. So they're 3 different mediums, but you both have to respect them all. And they both have their positives. Do you know what? No negatives. They all got their different positives. Yeah. There's not a negative in any of them.
Yeah, just to go off that, it's like my experience on TV was a lot of the time you'd have the conversations with the director, but you're kind of left to your own choices, which you know, when you're thrown in that deep end, you have to make some bold choices. The great thing about independent film and also working with Jazz was he gave us the freedom to explore different things, and sometimes when we had a bit more time, he'd just say, right, you guys have fun, see what you come up with. And that can be really exciting. It can be really stressful when it comes to the edit, but it can be really exciting for us as actors, because then it's like we can bring a sense of rawness and freedom, and we just don't know what's about to happen.
And that's how you create magic, I think. You get those moments that just weren't written, they just happen.
Yeah.
You know?
And you can't recreate those. They're just, organic.
So we've spoken about the really intense scenes and the mental health aspect of it. But actually when the film starts, it's actually a really easy breezy kind of start, and it's really kind of relatable. You kind of take to the characters really easily. I definitely did. I just wanted to talk to you about that because it's a really interesting build up to actually the climax. How did you feel filming those scenes and just getting the little bit of funny moments or light-hearted moments across?
Well, the nice thing was when we all met each other on set, it felt like everyone had known each other from ages ago. You know, we all met at the auditions and we all met at the recalls and then we were there at the rehearsals. So it was, the whole process was just very organic. Everyone just seemed to get on really well, and a lot of the moments that we had were improvised. We stuck to the main kind of premise of the script, but Jazz gave us that freedom where we could just play around and just be in the environment of that world and just talk as those people do talk, you know, and it allowed us just to be very relaxed and just to see what happens.
Yeah, I have to say the casting was really good between Amar and Jay, who plays the other character as well. It just became natural for them to have their banter. You know, it was like they really were two school kids who'd grown up together as best friends naturally. So that's how it came across, and obviously we wanted to write some funny stuff as well. It's not all it's not a doom and gloom project. It's really not. I mean, West London's about fun. Our generation have fun. We have words that we use that not too many people may not know outside of West London. There's definitely some authentic Punjabi words in there that you're not going to hear in other films. Let's just say that. So yeah, it's a balance between light and dark, the film, as life is. You know, life is not all doom and gloom. So the light is there to complement the dark, and the dark is there to complement the light.
Yeah, and I think that does come across. And I think when I kind of ended the film, I kind of did feel that. Yeah. I felt even though I did obviously feel the intense moments a bit more, which obviously any viewer probably would, it was the build-up, the nice kind of light build-up that really kind of made the story kind of complete. So yeah, I totally.
And even the music selection that Jazz decides to put in, it's really uplifting and fun. You've got some great dub music in there, some great Bhangra music, some lovely grime music from an authentic West London artist. It's not the music is a character in its sense. Yeah. I mean, we're hoping to release a soundtrack at the end of it to accompany the film, so you get a whole complete experience of the project and of West London, which would be fantastic. Yeah. But yeah, the music in itself is something to be awed at, because it's not what you really hear in Brit Asian films.
It's weird because when you listen to the music, you think of West London. When you listen to dub,
that's so true.
It gives you the vibe. It gives you the vibe,
and you can feel immersed in the world. So.
Yeah, that is actually really true, the way you've described it. You do straight away think, oh, this is like a West London thing. Yeah. And I can totally feel like that is part of the identity of the film. So I think that's a great thing that the music's going to be released soon.
That's the 12th man on the pitch.
The 12th man on the pitch. There you go, you heard it first. So I have to ask you, just as a kind of a roundup question, the film is called Never Had a Chance. To me, the way that I interpreted it is that every character kind of has or hasn't got a second chance in the film, and it's really interesting. I felt that aspect was really interesting, how they kind of felt about it, the characters, how they dealt with second chance, because obviously some of the opening scenes are about where two characters want their lives to go. Yeah. And the second chance aspect comes into life a lot generally. Yeah. How did you feel about your characters and that kind of aspect of chances?
For me, I think identifying with the character of Gudge, he's someone who desperately needs a second chance. I mean, I saw him as someone who grew up in environments where, you know, he didn't really get too much education. He might have come from a broken home or whatnot, and then he made the choice of falling into that world, right? And it became his only means of whatever. He maybe had a family to support. Who knows? I kind of had to process these things in my head. So once he was stuck in those things, you know, he didn't really know any better. And then he got so waist deep or neck deep into things that you haven't got a chance to get out of that situation. Yeah. You really don't. 1 minute he was ankle deep in the water, next minute he was neck deep, and there's no way out now. So you know, if there was a sequel, I'm hoping that he'd be a refined character. You never know.
Fingers crossed.
You never know, maybe some kind of youth worker or whatnot. But I think we all deserve a second chance at life. I think we all go through life making a few wrong choices and getting affected by things that we wish we didn't. And I think at everyone's point, you're given a second chance, whether you recognise it or not. I think the powers that be, universe or God, if you've got a good heart, you'll always get your second chance, and you always make use of it. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, with Ravi, it's that's all he's fighting for. That chance of freedom, normality, to be able to breathe, a sense of escapism.
Just to be normal.
Yeah, but also not forgetting who he is and where he comes from, because that's what he's very proud of, right? That world of what he's grown up in, as much as it's brought him down, it's still so hard to leave. But those chances aren't so easy for him, and it takes a lot of moments and then momentum for him to then feel like, oh, is this my chance? Oh no, but it's getting taken away. Oh, but is this it? No, it's getting taken away again. And then he's just on the brink of it, and it's
gone again.
And then is there a chance at the end? We don't know. That's, I guess, a nice subjective point for the viewers to take on, and hopefully they can make their mind up about, oh, did Ravi actually get that chance in the end, or is he still going to have to fight?
So we're waiting for a sequel. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing.
Got to ask Jazz.
To see where it goes. I'm going to our end section, our this or that section. Well, normally we have one guest and 6 this or that, but we have 2 guests, so we have 3 and 3, and they're not intense. Well, hopefully they're not.
Here we go.
Okay, we'll go with Amar first.
Oh, great.
Small impactful story or big banner production?
Small impactful story.
Do you want to explain? You don't have to.
No, I guess for me, what's more meaningful in this world is if you can leave a positive impact on one person, 100 people, thousands, millions. As long as you can leave a positive message and a positive impact on someone, I think that's a beautiful moment to leave in someone's mind.
I totally agree. Okay, being cool or being wise?
Wise, I think.
I agree. Small screen or big screen?
Big screen.
Yay! Again, we're waiting for a sequel. Okay, Amit, one for you. Award recognition or critical appreciation?
Critical appreciation.
Okay. Follower or leader?
Leader.
TV or stage?
Ooh.
I mean, I'll allow you to say both if you really want to.
Can I say both, please?
Yes, of course. But then you have to explain it.
Right. There are 2 different medias, like I said before. TV is fun. You get to, let's be honest, you get a nice paycheck at the end of it.
Of
you
course.
get to be seen around the world. You get to show off to your parents that, well, no, I made it on TV or whatnot. Not really. But, you know, it's what you kind of dream as an actor. You want to be on TV. You grow up watching TV shows. It's nice. There was obviously, I got into acting, went to drama school because there were certain shows that I wanted to be a part of. So, you know, of course, you grow up watching TV.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up watching Eddie Murphy, Raw, Delirious when I was 5 and 6. I grew up watching Indiana Jones and I wanted to be exactly like them. So TV is great, but at the end of the day, stage gives you the better feeling as an actor because, like I said, it's live. You've rehearsed for 3 weeks. It's you really using your craft to the max, and the applause you get at the end from the crowd, and when there's people that physically come up to you and say, listen, you really made me feel that in this, and you affected me this way or that way, that's the best feeling you can get as an actor, not some shiny award or some shiny thing that doesn't matter, just someone telling you, you know what, your work impacted me, thank you. You can't put a price on that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I agree.
That was a great explanation to a this or that question. Any final thoughts from either of you before we sign off?
No, I'd like to say thank you for having us on board.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
No, thank you. And also, please check out Never Had a Chance film when it's released.
Yep.
We are planning something, I think, in July. Yeah, in July. Just got a little bit of confirmation there. So make sure you do follow us on the socials, please. Never Had a Chance film. And yeah, just keep updated and get involved.
And go watch the film.
Yeah.
That's the main message. Go and watch the film. Can I just please end by asking you to say to the cameras where we find you on socials or where we find the film? Well, you've already mentioned Never Had a Chance film on socials, but where do we find you both?
You can find me on Instagram and IMDb under my name, Amit Dhut, which is spelled obviously AmitDhut.
And likewise, what Amit said, you can find me on Instagram and IMDb, Amar Chaggar, AmarChaggar.
Amazing. So this is Amrita signing out of, like I said, another great episode. We don't want to keep it in. We want to voice it out.